Imagine you had a place where all of your story ideas, all of your notes, all your characters, all your story world information could live. No more various websites where you have different parts of information. No more notebooks with fragments of plot lines. Just one place that is designed to lead you straight to your next draft. Does that sound good? Well, let me introduce you to my new Notion template. My first Notion template, even. In case you're new here, my name is Bridget. I am a writer and screenwriter and filmmaker from Canada. And I have been writing for over, over 5 years, probably more like 10. Yeah, definitely more than 10 years. And one of the struggles that I have come across through these years of writing is losing storylines, having way too many places to put story notes, and just not having an organized system for all of my writing. It just all seems so chaotic, and I just wanted to do something about it. And so I built this Notion template, partly for me, partly for you, and everybody else. So, yeah. I chose Notion because of the ease of use, the very customizable format, because I want people who use it, people like you, to be able to put their own images, put their own spin on this template, because it is full of fun imagery. I put like different genres in the different sections. So the dashboard is all fantasy, it's like red and gold, and then you have the plot section, which is very rom-com, very green. You have the character database, which is like a murder mystery, and it's very dark and edgy, and just everything has its own like vibe. And I had so much fun putting that together. Looking up pictures for different genres was so cool, and just being able to dive deeper into it and have that kind of customization where anybody could just put their story into it. Just put your own images in and you are off to the races. I love that so much. I've been using it for the story I'm working on right now, and putting the images in just helps so much. I changed around the colors because there's a different color symbolization. Symbolization? I don't think that's a word. There's different color symbolism. I chose 2 colors that are for the story. Now, this Notion template is very extensive. In previous videos, I've gone through the story dashboard, and I've gone through the story structure section, which is in the plot database. So I'm going to put up images of the different sections I'm talking about, but to start off, you do have the story dashboard. This is the part that, as I was saying, is fantasy themed. And within the story dashboard, we have pages, we have databases. And the first one we have is the character database. And within the character database, we have 3 other pages. We have the character cards, where you can go in depth into each individual character, and you have a whole quiz there. You have places to put inspiration for this character, and I usually put like TikToks or edits, and I find that really helps. But you can fill in all of the information about these characters. You can have, there's another page all in there already about backstory, where you can fill in, just brain dump all of that. So that's the character card section. And going back to the character database, you have character dynamics. And this is a chart where you put character 1, character 2. And then you can put in what their relationship is, if there's any notes or backstory, and if there are any inspirations from other media. And this can go on for a long time. Believe me, the one I have is so long because there's like an ensemble cast, and I want to know each of their interactions, each of their dynamics with each other. That one can be very time consuming, but very rewarding. Highly suggest going through and doing each individual pairing and figuring out how they interact with each other. Some of it will come naturally once you actually start writing, But then you can also go back and remind yourself of what it is by putting it into the chart, and simply you'll have it there to refer back to later. Going back to the character database, we also have one more page. We also have one more page, which is inclusivity prompts. And this was a section that I really wanted to include because representation is important, guys. I'm gonna say it louder for people in the back. Representation is important, okay? So we have this page with prompts, which are questions about inclusivity in your story. Fill them out. Maybe they'll just get your brain turning. Let's move on. There's a lot more to cover. So we are going to move on to the plot database, which has, I'm just gonna like speed run through these ones because there's so many. And yeah, you can go onto you can click the link in the description and take a look for yourself. Highly recommend. I'm just gonna speed run through these ones because there are so many. If we scroll down, we have a section called resources. And previously we did look at the story structure section, as I said. And then after that, we have all the other sections, which I actually added 2 new sections quite recently because I've been working on my own story and I needed these sections, so I added them to both. We have the resources, and this includes pages like theme, genre, tone, story timeline, plot notes, what ifs, and historical references. Now, if you want to hear more about historical references, I have a video up on my Instagram that is about referencing history in your stories, so go check that out because it's really fun. And yes, I'm not going to go in depth into all of those because that would take forever. Let's move on. We are moving on to the story world database, and this is where you build your story. It's all about world building, and it is a science fiction themed, which is super fun. It's all purple. Scrolling down, we have 5 pages, and each of these pages has a list of questions. Some of them have more questions than others. I will admit some of them are a little bit extensive and I went a little nuts, so you don't have to answer all the questions. These are simply prompts, little questions. If you want to disregard any of them, if you're not writing a fantasy story, you can obviously disregard the magic system, but some of them are very important, such as the ones about culture, the ones about politics and history. Especially if you're writing a science fiction or fantasy story, I highly recommend going as deep into these as humanly possible. Lastly, we do have a page about key locations. This is simply a page where you can jot down any really significant and key locations in your story that you don't want to forget about. Maybe there's like a really important, I don't know, statue. Maybe there's a really important house that you think maybe in the sea of your story, you'll just forget, like, oh yeah, that house was really important to the characters, and you just completely forgot about it. So you can write it down there, and you'll just make sure you don't forget about it. Going back, there's only a few more sections, and these ones are pretty brief. We have the brainstorm and brain dump, which is really just a place for you to brain dump. It doesn't really have pages within itself, so it's just kind of there for you to put stuff in. And then the visuals and references is a blank page where you can put images, videos, anything that gives the aesthetic of your story and just gives the vibe. And lastly, we have comps. Now, this is a tactic that is commonly used for screenwriters because it is very useful within pitching. And this is when you say, it's like this story meets this story meets this story. So if you're pitching, it is easy to package something by referencing other things. And the weirder the combination, the probably more intrigued your audience is gonna be, because they're like, huh? How's that gonna work? Now, all of that was in the brainstorming section, and I just want to take you down quickly into the outline builder, which is the next section. The few things we have in the outline builder, I didn't really want to go far in depth with this one because once you have everything from the brainstorming session, you can move pretty quickly into the outline. So I just wanted to add in some guiding forces to help you shape it a bit more. So inside the outline builder, we have the story structure templates, which I talked about in a previous video. They are the story structures that are within the brainstorming section, but this time they are blank and you can fill in the different beats of these story structures for your own story. And after that, we have the scene database, which is something I found really helpful when I was working on my last story, because then you can dump scenes that you don't know where they fit yet. Lastly, we have a spot where you can do your full outline in this Notion template. This is just a blank page because you're just writing your outline now. And after that, you can move on to doing your draft, which is super freaking cool. And yeah, we have a few parts here, which are about key inspiration, core questions, and the defined genre and tone. We also have the writing goals, where you can put things like when you want to finish your first draft by, when you want to finish your second draft. And with that, that is everything that is on my Notion template. The template that is for writers, by a writer. And I hope you guys enjoy using the template. Currently, it is on an early bird discount. So if you guys want to go get it, it is only $20, 20 Canadian dollars. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe. I will probably be doing more Notion templates in the future, and I have some like business ideas that I think I'm gonna be announcing in the next few months, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we are going to be chatting about a lot of storytelling, both here and on my Instagram, so subscribe and follow me on Instagram. And with that, stay creative, keep writing, and I will catch you guys next week with another video. Bye!